Next. I Dream of Jeannie. That is a repro bottle. I say reproduction that was given to me by the gentleman who owns the company because he knew that I had done an I Dream of Jeannie. So he came over and it's really nice. It's really one of my favorite pieces, even though it's not an original because there's obviously only one. But I really like it a lot, so that's a nice piece. Exact duplicate. Next. Does anybody remember Lidsville, Saturday morning, Sid and Marty Croft? Okay, these guys were making some very interesting shows. HR Puffin Stuff was their first show. The Bugaloos was their second show. And then before Sigmund and Land of the Lost and all the other shows that they did a show called Lidsville. That's Charles Nelson Riley as Hoodoo, Billy Hayes as Weenie Jeannie, and she was also Witchy Poo. And this was an interesting show because it had about 20 little people, all of which I knew because as a kid when you're growing up, they don't get other kids to be your stand-in, they get little people, and which is politically correct today, but back then they used different names. But the bottom line is I knew them all, and we all worked together the summer of '71 in this series that I didn't really want to do, but in hindsight it was a good time, and lunchboxes are good collectibles, by the way. I think the reason I put this up there was to show the lunchbox and the Lidsville thing, but you can pick up lunchboxes, which is a perfect way to relive your childhood, because who didn't have lunchboxes, at least if you're my age, you did, until you get into high school, then you got a brown paper bag because you had to be cool with the brown paper bag. Next. Lost in Space, one of my favorite shows from the 60s. Bill Mooney, good friend of mine. He did not give this to me, but I got it thinking that I would get an autograph, and I haven't seen him yet to do this, but this is a really cool little mini robot. It's only about yay tall, but a really good likeness, and it's motorized, and it's battery operated, so I love that. Thanks. Next. Hats. I have a lot of hats because when I go places, I like caps anyway, so I collect hats and caps. The center one I'm wearing is from Australia. I went down there 6 or 7 years ago, and in the outback there were so many flies and so many insects that they have hats that you buy with corks and hanging corks, and you keep spinning your head like this, and the corks fly around, and it keeps the flies from landing on your face. And it actually works pretty good. The one on the right is Caddyshack, one of my favorite movies given to me by Cindy Morgan, and Ted Knight's character, I still laugh at that movie. It's a really good, funny movie from way back when. And the one on my my right, your left, would be the Super Bowl, the fourth Super Bowl, I think it was, for the Steelers, and it's signed by Michael Rooney, the grandson of Art Rooney, yeah, the owner, so that's cool. And then down on the right, that's Munsters Go Home. I'm sitting in the Ferrari in the hold of the ship before we go to Munster Hall, grinding gears in a $12 million Ferrari because I couldn't reach the clutch. Okay, next. Speaking of clutches, the Munster coach. When people say they go, why was the Munster so popular? I go, well, several reasons. Number one, we were the first family to have a hot rod as a family car, George Barris creation. We had very cool special effects. We had a good cast. We had a great house. Music was pretty cool. The theme song, everybody remembers that. And everybody knows, what was our address? How many shows at 50 years later do people remember the address from? None. So we have this really embedded fan base in the country that next year with our 50th anniversary, I'm really looking forward to putting together a coffee table book featuring fan stories and fan participation, because almost everybody comes up to me and says, oh, we dressed up as the Munsters on Halloween and we won an award, or my niece or my nephew was Eddie Munster and he looked great. So there's a lot going on there. George Barris built the Munster coach, went on to do the Batmobile and other shows and other cars, but before this, he was putting cars into the movies in the 50s with all the old drive-in movie, like Hot Rods to Hell and Drag Strip Fever, and any of those blacktop hot rod juvenile delinquent type movies. George would supply those cars, and then he went into personalizing and customizing movie stars' cars. So anybody in Hollywood that was anybody had a car customized by George Barris, and I used to leave the set about once a week on lunch to go down to his shop and visit. It was about a mile away. I saw Sonny and Cher there picking up their Mustangs. I saw Sinatra getting his Stutz. I saw Elvis getting his, he had a tour bus being done, Liberace with his Cadillac. So everybody went to George's shop to get their car customized. It was really a cool place for a kid to hang out. And George is still with us, and he's a dear friend. Next. Oh!